Hi, my name's Claire Williams and we're gathered here today to try and prevent Rosedene Rescue from reopening. It's important to us because Rosedene Rescue has been open for years and unfortunately the welfare of the animals hasn't been paramount. In fact, the animals have suffered desperately at the hands of the owner of Rosedene. We're here today because the owner is talking about reopening Rosedene and we don't want it reopened.
Hi, we're here for the petition to keep Rosedene shut. We're absolutely appalled with the conditions there. The dogs are suffering so much there and we just do not want it opened again. I know somebody who rehomed a dog from there and he was chewing his tail off and they had to have it amputated when he got out of there. The dogs are so stressed in there. We cannot do this to them.
He literally just profits from the suffering of the dogs, really. There's no standards, there's no welfare for these animals. They're not cleaned properly, the kennels. The volunteers do an incredible job. Nobody's ever knocked the volunteer staff, but the actual conditions, they're not cleaned enough, they're not well kept, they're not looked after, and there's no rules and regulations for rehoming, for health and safety.
He should have the book thrown at him, and I mean the rule book. He should abide by the rules there. He's done everything wrong, everything since he was closed. How he came to reopen, I do not know, and how he thinks that they're getting the contractors in now before he's been given permission, leaves you lots of room to speculate why he's doing that.
Well, allegedly.
So I first went up to Rosedene in 2010, just after it had been closed by the RSPCA, because I wanted to go and see what the place was actually like compared to the RSPCA's decision to go in and to kill 3 dogs at the same time. Once you've gone to somewhere like that and you start talking to the other volunteers and you see all the dogs, it becomes a little bit addictive. And I carried on helping up there on and off as a dog walker up until August 2016. I became aware quite quickly that the funds that were paid over in adoption fees were not going to the care of the dogs. So the girls that were there, the volunteers and the managers, were having to raise funds for vets fees in spite of the owner, not as a support. Obviously I was told at one point it was not for profit. That's turned out to be rubbish, and actually it's just run as a business, and it's a business that asks for donations. I've not actually seen Marks and Spencer's ask for people to donate a loaf that they can sell, but apparently that's how this gentleman thinks he can run his business. The reason I stopped going was that the manager that was there became disinterested in our support as far as the vets fees were concerned, and the owner had said that he didn't see why any dog should be chipped, vaccinated, neutered. The new owners could pay for that once they'd paid their adoption fee, which is of course totally against the values of any rescue that you've ever heard of. I'd like to see it closed. Those pens were not fit for purpose. He lost his boarding licence 3 or 4 years ago because the pens weren't big enough, and he continued to board as many dogs as he could, and how can I put it, his justification for that was that he had friends at Walsall Council and it didn't really matter. He didn't think he needed a licence, he would do exactly as he wanted to. So you had dogs going stir crazy in pens that were far too small. They weren't getting the proper care in spite of the volunteers doing their best. So I'd like to see it closed, I'd like to see it bulldozed, and if he thinks that he still wants to run any sort of boarding kennels or rescue, then he has to do it appropriately, and perhaps he'd like to talk to the tax office about how he does that appropriately. So that's why I'm here today, freezing my bones off, but it's a damn sight better than those dogs have had in the past.
We've had overwhelming support from the public that have had first-hand experience of Rosdene, that have adopted dogs from there. And have had dogs with various health issues because they've been denied veterinary care whilst they've been there, so the problems have got worse. Dogs have been rehomed without home checks and unsuitable for the families they've been placed with. When dogs have been brought back to Rosdene for being unsuitable, they've literally been there a couple of hours and resold on yet again. So owners that have adopted dogs initially and took them back because they were unsuitable haven't got a refund of their money, and the dogs have been sold again. So the owner is not in it for the best interests, he's there to line his pockets. The conditions are appalling, and the dogs have come out with health issues and some of them behavioural issues because of being confined to dark, dingy, damp kennels that are rat infested.
What checks were being done regularly? Because if regular checks were being done, you wouldn't keep that place open. It was horrendous. It's like a hellhole for dogs that have done nothing wrong other than be born. Heartbreaking.
They were terrified, the dogs. They were on the backs. When we tried to take them in, they were carrying down on
one
the
of the dogs collapsed. One, I had to carry him back into the kennels because he was so distressed, and I was crying. And rescue centres are fantastic places for an interim, but that can't be classed as a rescue centre. That's like a punishment.
Yeah.
When they've done nothing wrong.